Hello everyone, this is your educator Priyanka Thakur teaching you life sciences and welcome you all on our YouTube channel Gurmantra Shikshaka Granth. So we in human physiology we covered about tissues, then we covered cardiovascular system, digestive system, and now we are starting with excretory system. After that we will be completing respiratory system as well as reproductive system and nervous system. With that we will complete our human physiology syllabus. Okay, so let's start with our today's topic, which is about excretory system. And today I will only tell you about kidneys, nephron, and juxtaglomerular apparatus in detail. When you understand these three things, you will be able to understand the whole mechanism of urine formation, the control of different hormones. So to understand those things, you first need to understand the basics of excretory system. So let's start it now. Excretory system, as the name itself says, excretion. So excretory system is a system of an organism's body which is going to perform the function of excretion. What is excretion? The process of discharging waste. So excretory system, this system become responsible for the elimination of waste, and this waste is produced by homeostasis. Homeostasis is what? Regulation of your body fluids, your body temperature is what we call homeostasis. And excretion, as we understand, is the process of removal of metabolic waste. And what is this metabolic waste? Most important nitrogenous waste are metabolic waste. Okay, I mean most important metabolic waste are, I would say, nitrogen waste, which are like urea, ammonia, uric acid. And the nature of nitrogen containing waste like ammonia, urea, and uric acid and their excretion varies among the different species, and it depends on the availability of the water. Ammonia is most toxic and it requires large amount of water for elimination, while uric acid is least toxic, and if it is least toxic, it definitely would require least amount of water for its elimination. Most of the animals excrete a mixture of excretory products, like they are excreting both urea and uric acid, and then ammonia or urea or ammonia or uric acid, maybe like this. Okay, but in human we also excrete mixture of excretory product. And for excretion we have a well developed excretory system. And what human excretory system contain? This is our excretory system. Check out. Okay, so human excretory system, as we can see, consists of two kidneys, left and right kidney. As you can see, the left kidney is a bit lower than the left one. Okay, the kidney is a urine forming organ, and each kidney is supplied with blood by a renal artery, and from this blood the urine is produced. Urine exit each kidney through a duct called ureters, and then these ureters join in common urinary bladder. The urinary bladder stores the urine, and which is then passed out of the body through urethra. Okay, so urinary bladder temporarily stores the urine, and during urination urine is discharged from bladder through a tube which is called as urethra. Now let's talk about the function of excretory system. What is the primary function of excretory system? It is excretion. And what is it excreting? It is excreting the nitrogenous waste. Okay, but kidney, they also play some other function like homeostasis, because they can regulate the water salt balance and acid base balance of the blood. So we can say that regulation of water and electrolyte balance, regulation of arterial blood pressure, maintenance of osmolarity, for regulation of blood pH, secretion of hormones like erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is a hormone that stimulates the production of red blood cells, and calcitriol. Calcitriol is the active form of vitamin D3. Then synthesis of enzyme renin, regulation of blood glucose level. These all are the function of our excretory system. And when we say uric acid is formed by the metabolism of nucleic acid, like urea is formed by the metabolism of amino acids, and creatinine is formed from muscle creatine and hemoglobin breakdown result in the formation of bilirubin. Okay, so all these are the metabolic waste which are removed by our excretory system. As you can see, what our excretory system have two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. You can see it clearly without any doubt. Everything is clear to you. Okay, now let's study the structure of kidney. So you can see kidneys are paired, like they are two in number. And what is the shape of kidney? It's bean shaped. What is the color of kidney? You can see it is a bit reddish colored. Okay, and it is present in the posterior. See, present the posterior wall of abdomen, but outside the peritoneal cavity. As I told you, right kidney is a bit lower than, slightly lower than the left. And if we talk about the measurement of adult kidney, then it is 10 to 12 centimeter in length, 5 to 7 centimeter in width, and 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness. And the weight varies in between 120 to 170 gram. Okay, and this is the hilus. Toward the center, this is the hilus region. Renal vein, renal nerve, and renal arteries enters the kidney or exit the kidney through this hilus. This is renal hilum. Each kidney is surrounded by a thin but tough covering, which is a covering of a dense irregular connective tissue, and it is called as capsule. Okay, so this is the cortex region. Each kidney is divided into two regions, cortical region and medullary region. Okay, renal medulla is deep reddish brown inner region. It consists of, you can see, it consists of renal pyramids. These are renal pyramids. These are facing toward the cortex. Okay, and the papilla, the term you are calling, its apex is what we call papilla. Okay, in between these renal pyramids, the cortex, renal cortex is extended, and these columns are formed, which are called renal column or column of Bertini. Okay, renal column is also known as column of Bertini. So together the renal cortex, okay, renal cortex and these renal pyramids of renal medulla, these pyramid and cortex form the parenchyma, which is the functional portion of the kidney, and these parenchyma contains the nephrons. These parenchyma contains what? The nephron. Okay. You can see inner to this hilum is a region, renal pelvis, which is having calyces, major and minor. Minor calyces are more than the major calyces. You will see around 15 to 20 minor calyces. On the other hand, you will see only 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 major calyces present there in the pelvic region. Okay, so minor calyces, they deliver the urine to where they to major calyces, and from major calyces urine drain into this large cavity renal pelvis, and through this it is drained into the ureters, which then go into urinary bladder and finally thrown out of the body with the help of ureters. If we talk about blood supply of the kidney, then each kidney receives its blood from the renal artery, and this blood is then filtered. Okay, so renal artery then divide into a bit segmental arteries, and these segmental arteries supply supply the different regions of the kidney. Each segmental artery will give rise to what? It will give rise to other interlobular arteries, and these interlobular arteries, you can see these arteries, these are then they are also known as arcuate arteries, and they then further divide into interlobular arteries. Finally, these interlobular arteries enter the renal cortex, and they will give rise to afferent arterioles, and each nephron receives one afferent arterioles, and these afferent arterioles further they divide into capillaries. This capillary network form the glomerulus. You know that arteries, then artery divide into medium size arteries, then small size arteries, and then arterioles, and then these capillaries. So There is I will show you this structure. Okay, this is the afferent arteriole, which is then segmented into like a interlobal arteries become arcuate arteries, and then interlobular arteries, and then arterioles, and finally become capillary. And these capillary form the network which is called as glomerulus capillary. Then again you reunite to form this efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole carries the blood out of the glomerulus. Okay, afferent arterioles have more diameter than the efferent arterioles. Glomerular capillaries, they are unique because mostly we know that capillaries are formed in between arterioles and venules, but here as we can see capillaries are formed in between arterioles, group of arterioles. That's why our glomerular capillaries are unique. Okay, so efferent arteriole then divides into these efferent arteriole, as you can see, are divided into peritubular network of capillaries. You can see this is present in the renal cortex. Okay, so we now know that renal artery passes divided into segmental arteries, which then divide into interlobal arteries. Then interlobal arteries become arcuate arteries. Arcuate arteries become interlobular arteries. Then they form afferent arterioles. Afferent arterioles then further divides into capillaries, which form the glomerulus. Glomerular capillaries reunite to form efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole then form the peritubular capillary network, and these peritubular capillary network will reunite to form interlobular veins. There will not be any formation of segmented veins, but you just understand these peritubular capillaries will reunite to form peritubular venules, which then form interlobular veins, then form arcuate veins, then form interlobar veins, finally renal vein, and renal vein open into inferior vena cava. So as we know, arteries are entering, they are getting segmented into and getting divided again and again and again, and finally forming the glomerular capillaries. But these glomerular capillaries again reunite to form arteriole reunite to form papillary capillary network, and this will then lead to formation of peritubular capillary network reunite to form peritubular venules. These peritubular venules will reunite to form interlobular veins, which reunite to form arcuate veins, which reunite to form interlobar veins. Then these interlobar veins, instead of forming segmental veins, form the renal veins, and these renal veins then open into inferior vena cava. The arcuate arteries or arcuate veins that I am telling you, these interlobular arteries branches. So branch from interlobal arteries at the boundary of cortex and medulla is called arcuate arteries. Okay, so we can say arcuate arteries are the branch of interlobal arteries present at the boundary of the cortex and medulla. So you understand how these things are going to function. Okay, so peritubular capillaries, I already told you, these I didn't told you, but as you can see, they surround the renal tubule. Okay, and the specialized portion of peritubular capillary system is called what? Vasa recta. This vasa recta descended into the medulla. This is the medullary region a bit. Okay, parallel with the loop of Henle. This is the loop of Henle. Okay, isn't it, or is it? It is. Okay, so thus there are two sets of capillary in the kidney: the glomerular capillaries and the peritubular capillaries. Okay, so within each nephron, the two sets of capillaries are connected to each other by efferent arterioles. Okay, glomerular capillaries and peritubular capillaries are connected by efferent arterioles. And further, you know that these peritubular capillaries will reunite to form peritubular venules, and then they will form interlobular veins, arcuate veins, interlobal veins, and finally renal veins. Okay, so you can also see the structure of nephron, and this is the functional unit of your kidney. Each kidney will consist of about 1 million nephron. All these nephrons are bound together by connective tissue. Okay, so nephron consists of tubule and associated small blood vessels. Nephron's tubular part is hollow, fluid-filled tube formed by a single layer of epithelial cell. Each nephron have a renal capsule, also known as Malpighian body, and renal tubule. Malpighian body is formed by this glomerulus, which is formed of capillary network and a glomerular capsule. Okay, this is a double walled epithelial cup that is enclosing the glomerulus. Glomerulus capillary membrane is similar to all other capillaries. All other capillaries have three membrane, but this glomerular capillary, these glomerular capillaries have only two layers instead of three. It has three layers instead of two, not three. It was by mistake. Okay, it has three layers instead of two. One is fenestrated endothelium. Okay, this endothelium is a layer of squamous cells. Okay, then is present a basement membrane, and finally you will see a layer of epithelial cell, podocytes. These podocytes surround the surface of capillary basement membrane. So outer epithelial cells are called podocytes. Okay, blood plasma is filtered through this Bowman capsule. It has pits, and blood plasma is filtered through this Bowman capsule. It does not allow, no proteins are filtered through this Bowman capsule. Okay, and renal tubule consists of three parts: proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule have two portion, like proximal convoluted tubule and then proximal a bit straight tubule. Okay, and the distal and loop of Henle is again, loop of Henle is connect proximal and distal convoluted tubule. In loop of Henle you will see different segments like thin descending segment, thin ascending segment, and thick ascending segment. All the nephron, the distal part of this nephron open into the collecting duct. That collecting duct then open into renal pelvis, through which ureters take out the fluid into urinary bladder, which is taken out of a body by urethra. About 80 to 85% of nephrons are cortical nephrons. Okay, now what are cortical nephrons? This is the image in front of you. You can recognize, I haven't named it, but you can recognize which one is the cortical nephron and which one is a juxtamedullary nephron. See what happened? Most of the nephrons are cortical nephron. I'm saying, and you have to answer by yourselves. On your left or right is the cortical nephron. In cortical nephron, you will see renal capsules are located in the cortex, and they have a short loop of Henle, and this loop of Henle extend very little into the medulla. So this one is the cortical nephron. You can see this is the cortical region, and glomerulus is present in the cortical region. This is the loop of Henle, which is extended into the medullary region, but a very little. While in 20 to 30% you will see nephron, that renal capsule lie deep. This is the cortex. It is lying deep in the cortex, just close to the medulla, and the loop of Henle are very long and run deep into the medulla. Such kind of nephrons are called juxtamedullary nephrons. So now you understand what are glomerular nephron and what are juxtamedullary nephron. I hope all these things are clear to you now. I hope you now know how blood will enters into the kidney, how it will be filtered, and how it will again get back into the vena, inferior vena cava. Okay. So juxtaglomerular nephron and juxtamedullary, not juxtaglomerular, juxtamedullary nephron, and other one is cortical nephron. This one is the juxtamedullary nephron, whose loop of Henle it is extended deep into the medulla, while in cortical nephron you will see a very little loop of Henle extends into the medullary region. The final thing that I want to tell you is about juxtaglomerular apparatus. This is the juxtaglomerular apparatus. So what is juxtaglomerular apparatus? It is this structure, juxtaglomerular apparatus. It is located near the glomerulus of nephron. As you can see, this is the glomerulus, and juxtaglomerular apparatus will be present near to this. Okay, this is the glomerulus. Okay, and this juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay. So what happened? How it is formed? It is formed by distal convoluted tubules and glomerular afferent arteriole. Distal, this is the distal part of distal convoluted tubule, and this is the afferent arteriole. So both distal convoluted tubule and afferent arterioles form what? They form your juxtaglomerular apparatus. So you will see three kind of cells in juxtaglomerular apparatus. One is juxtaglomerular cells, other one is mucosa densa, and third one is extraglomerular mesangial cells. Now listen to me very carefully. Juxtaglomerular cells are present on the walls of afferent arterioles. As you can see, these juxtaglomerular cells are found on the walls of afferent arteriole. Macula densa, these are the cells on distal convoluted tubule, and extraglomerular mesangial cells. These are modified smooth muscle cells, and these cells surround the glomerular capillary loops. Okay. So renin enzyme is synthesized by juxtaglomerular apparatus, and the juxtaglomerular cells results in the formation of renin. It is synthesized and stored in the juxtaglomerular cells. And you will come to know in the latest section that what is the role of this renin. So main function of juxtaglomerular apparatus is to regulate the blood pressure and the filtration rate of the glomerulus. If the blood pressure is regulated, ultimately the filtration rate will also be regulated. So these all were the basics of excretory system. After knowing this, you will easily be able to understand the mechanism and the hormonal role as well. And you will also be able to understand the disorders that will occur in our excretory system. But this is all for today. We will talk about other topics in our next lecture. Stay tuned. If you want to share the video, you can. And if you want to prepare for CSIR NET JRF June 2021, you can take the subscription of Unacademy, and for this you have to pay some amount of fee. You can see the details of your paid classes on your screens, and you even can get 10% off from this fee as well. You have to use the referral code of our ma'am, Neha Taneja ma'am. The referral code is Neha. By using the code Neha, you will get that 10% off immediately on your fee. Go there, follow ma'am on Unacademy. She's going to be your mentor. She's going to teach you. She's going to prepare you for CSIR NET Life Sciences June 2021. Okay, but along with this, as you know, we are also trying to help you out, so you also have to subscribe to our channel. Do not forget to press the bell icon. If you want to be connected to us on different platforms, then just check out the description box, in which you will find the links to our different platforms. On a single click, you will be there with us on our platforms, and you will be able to share your ideas, your views. You will be able to ask doubts, and for other information you can contact on this number. Your queries will be answered. That's all for today. Thank you. Take care.